Hello, Andrew here. I'd like to speak to you about my new book. It is a novel, the first novel I am ever trying to write. In fact, there's so much information I've had to break it up into 2 novels. Each novel is a story in its own right, but together they are more than the sum of their parts. These 2 novels tell a true story, but in the form of fiction. This is a lesson I learned from a novelist in Australia. She was also a biographer and wrote a biography, and then later on in life she decided to write a novel which was also based on a true story taken from her own life. But as she explained to me, in order to be able to portray the essence of the story in the form of a book, she found that it was actually far more effective to write it in the form of a novel, a work of fiction, because you're able to play with time events in such a way that you actually create or recreate the essence of the story in such a way that it reflects that essence far more truthfully than a factual account ever could. And this is what I have decided to do with this story taken from my own personal life, because it is a very profound story. The story in a nutshell is this. Once upon a time, when I was 19 years old, I met and fell in love with a beautiful Jewish woman who was slightly older than myself. We were both studying at university, and during that time we were also active in the anti-apartheid movement. This was in Cape Town, South Africa, in 1977. We fought against discrimination of whites against blacks, men against women, and all the other forms of discrimination. But what we had not bargained on was that we ourselves would become the victims of discrimination as well. We were engaged to be married, but she was Jewish, I'm a Gentile, and the pressures that were brought to bear were too great. We had to go our separate paths and spent the bulk of our lives apart from each other, living very different lives from what we had originally planned to do. 43 years later, we found each other again, and we have managed to rediscover our love for each other. There's a lot more involved than just this love story, which in itself is quite profound and which I am very grateful for. And it is this story that serves as the basis for this series of 2 novels, which I have provisionally titled Love and Light in the Dark. The first novel I've decided to call Love in the Dark, because that's what it feels like. When I look back And the second, love in the light, because it's as though light has been shed on so many aspects of that story and that love. And what I'd like to do now is just very briefly sketch the atmosphere of the society in which this story starts. Cape Town, South Africa, 1977. Who and what and where, and give you a little bit of an introduction to that place at that time, and more specifically where the two main people, the two main characters in this story, or this work of fiction I'm going to emphasize, in which they found each other and in which the story began. I would like to say at the outset that although I am happy to divulge my own identity as one of the characters of the story, my partner has decided not to do so, and as someone wanting to respect that, I will be referring to the characters not by their original names, but by their names in the work of fiction, in the novel or novels. The boy of 19 is called Alexander Shaw. And the girl whom he meets, her name is Aviva Ehrlich. And I am going to introduce you to Cape Town, South Africa in 1977, and the specific place where these two characters met and lived, as a way of starting off. And I will do so in the form of a story, a blog if you like. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. Bye for now.